She's so.
Hey everyone, it's me again. I know, long time no hear. I wanted to let you know about my first bad meet. It was first let me just say this is not a diss track. It was chaos. I don't think anybody could have done anything about what occurred. Meet directors work very hard to put together these things, and I honestly don't know how they do it without slaughtering everyone. I don't. There's so many moving pieces to a meet. Anyway, having said that, a more reporting what happened, because it did turn into an episode of I Love Lucy pretty quickly. First of all, it was at a fitness expo at a convention center in Baltimore. So in case you competed at this meet or you know somebody who organized this meet, once again, I'm saying no diss. Like, no, I'm not blaming anyone for my terrible performance. Mostly I thought it was hilarious, and I was actually relieved to have my first horrible meet because I've been on quite a streak. All right, so it's at the convention center. Goat and I didn't get a hotel because I go to Baltimore a lot. It's close enough to where we didn't feel like we needed to stay in a hotel. So we drove up that morning, and sure enough, there was a marathon where almost all of the streets that we needed to go on were closed. A lot of the people were walking. We were just like, hey man, the least you could do is mean it. You know, if you're going to be in this marathon, whatever. We got to the convention center. They were not allowing coaches or public in until 11 a.m. So that meant we had no chaperone. We had no adult supervision. We got in there, checked in. The liability form is something you need. And then I am happy to report that I got a therapeutic use exemption for my meds. So I had that handy in case I got popped for a test. So we got in there, and guess what? Chicken butt. Yes, chicken butt, but also there were several events happening at the same time. After you do your weigh-in, and then they check your gear, I did ask the woman weighing me in if maybe the modeling competition needed a super heavyweight division. She said that she thought I stood a good chance, except I probably needed a tanning bed, which, I mean, I'll concede that. I'm an albino cave lizard. So the meet started in the middle of a strongman event. People yelling and screaming. Loud things clanging on a cement floor. Also, there was a Zumba event with like maybe 8 people watching. Closely followed by a model search and some dude going for a bench record. All of this is happening in open space. Nothing is walled off. So you couldn't hear a damn thing. I couldn't. I couldn't hear commands. Also, behind the lifter area. Nobody's supposed to be back there unless you're a coach, handler, or a lifter. And there were a number of people. Somebody spotted someone with a baby stroller. A bunch of people just milling around. And they had these monitors, very small monitors. I think the app is called Next Lifter. These monitors were sitting on chairs. And of course, there's a bunch of people just dicking around on their phones, standing in front of the monitors. So like we didn't know whether it was our turn or not. So when it was my turn, you always squat first, then bench, then deadlift. I was in the flight on one platform, and a bunch of my teammates were on the flights on the other platform. It was chaos. I didn't know it was my turn for squats until somebody said, "Hey, you're up, you're timing out." So I run out there. Obviously I bombed, which the weight itself wasn't even, I'd done it in the gym, so it's not like the weight was a problem. It was the fact that I didn't wait for the squat command. I just ran out there like a wild animal, just trying to get my lift done. Then the second round of squats went, and I didn't get that lift either. And this is right about the time where I'm like, I'm bombing this meet. Ta-da! So bench came around. Again, flagged, something about a non-egregious offense, a yellow card. I still couldn't hear any of the commands. And because I'm laying on the bench, I couldn't see them either. So I couldn't even go by the hand command. The third bench, they said, was no good. And I'm like, all right, well, nobody wants to bomb at something that they've been training for months, or, whatever your training block is. But I'm just like, all right, there's not going to be an airstrike on my village. And like the rebel army is not going to come slaughter my family if I don't get, come on, like the stakes are really low. It's disappointing, but it's not, what are they going to do? Like give me Chiari for bombing the meet? So I went up to the desk after the third bench. I'm like, hey, just take me out of deads, because in that way, and I didn't do this in like an a-hole manner. I wasn't like, take me out of the deads. I was just like, could you please remove my deads? Because, figured I could save myself for training the next week and just move on from there. I'll still hang out at the meet and make a general nuisance of myself, have a good time, which I did. I made up a new friend. Shout out to Pickle Rick. All right. That kid had some nuts on him. He was there. That was his first meet at an expo in all that craziness. That was some, that took some ovals. Anyway, then after I asked for the deads to be, taking myself out of deads, they said my third bench was good. I'm like, okay. So at this point, I'm done. I know I'm done. I know I sucked, and I can go back and forth about how much noise was there and how distracting it was, but that doesn't change the fact that I sucked, and that my lift sucked, and that I didn't get a lot of my lifts, and that I still had a week of training to get through. So, why not save myself? I decided to just do my first dead just to close it out and post a total. I didn't even warm up, because during the warm-up time, I was already planning on being gone. Like, I didn't plan on doing the deadlifts because they said my bench was horrible. So I kind of missed the warm-up window, and everything was moving at such a strange pace. So I just went out there. I did my my first dead, and then I was done. I asked them to remove me from the next 2, so I can live to fight another day. Maybe not need as much time to recover. It was just a mess. And first of all, I'm glad I see now what a bad meet is like. So I kind of know what I need to do to prepare. And my coach is excellent. He can keep track of probably 30 people at a time if he needed to. But honestly, I don't think it's up to him to, like, I need to be more self-sufficient. I mean, I was forgetting rules like your socks can't touch your sleeves. Well, why would you need to pull up your deadlift socks until it's time to deadlift? You don't. But these were like little things that were adding up. And by the second bench, I was like completely overstimulated and just almost feral at that point. There were a couple funny things that did happen that kind of annoyed me, which probably helped me get my first deadlift up with no problem, without a warm-up. One was somebody called me sir, which was great. Excuse me, sir. I mean, I guess at least he said excuse me. The second thing was, I guess a couple of the other coaches saw that the fat girl wasn't doing well and assumed that I was going to be super upset about it. So they were giving me high fives and stuff, and all I wanted to say was, you know, I'm not weak like you. Like, I don't need your sympathy, but thanks. I didn't say that, though, because that would have been over the line. And I try not to make my coach look bad at these meets. I was already doing a good enough job of that. Another thing I want is a bag that has compartments in it. I don't have a lot of gear. I don't lift with a belt. I don't use wrist wraps for the bench. The only thing I have is knee sleeves for squats. That's it. I don't have any gear. When I check my gear, it's the singlet, my socks, my shoes, my shirt. And that's it. I don't have anything else. However, mouth guard. I use a mouth guard. So I'm digging around in my bag looking for my mouth guard, which I didn't realize until I got home, that my dumbass left it on the TV tray. So it wasn't even in the bag. But, you know, it's a bottomless pit of a bag. And I think I need, like, I got some packing cubes to separate things. The biggest one, obviously, will be used for food and candy. Like, that's obvious. The other thing I need to do is really get the drills down and just assume that I'm not going to be able to hear the commands. That's going to be a little trickier on bench. We already have the next gig booked. Coach found us kind of like a redemption gig. So we're going to go compete at that, and I'll do much better. Hopefully. But this was just, yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. So, congratulations to everybody who posted a total at the at this chaotic meet. And that's about it. I mean, we left with our lives. Nobody got injured. Our records are, I mean, my record actually isn't correct online. I'm gonna ask them to correct it, because my coach told me that they told him that I completely bombed all my benches. But online it says that I got my last one. Anyway, I'm glad I got it over with, because you don't get to have a good meet all the time. You don't get to have a good anything all the time. And you don't have control over everything. So, if you ever find yourself in this position, and actually what I would recommend is, if you're a powerlifter, eventually you will compete at a terrible, horrible expo where the Zumba sound system is shaking your sternum, even though there's only like 8 people watching. And then a model search is going to be going with maybe 15 people watching, and that's also going to have a sound system. And then you might have a strongman happening at the same time. Train for chaos. Always assume that it's going to be awful, it's going to be terrible, that your coach is going to be busy. And this is certainly not a slight against any coach, but just prepare for that. Because that way you won't have a Lucy Ricardo situation when you're trying to post totals. Especially, some people were trying to get to Arnold. They were trying to qualify for nationals, which I obviously did not do. Not even close. Not even close. In fact, I didn't even hit my second goal of crushing someone who shall remain nameless. I didn't even get close to that. So, I'm just going to tighten up my game and then try again. And what else can you do? You sit around and cry about it, blame everybody, bitch about it, send a bunch of horrible emails. It's done. Just move forward and then just tighten up the game. What else is there? So, that's it. That's all I have to report for my field report. I will see you at another time.